Good morning, everyone. Hello and welcome to our podcast about the life and times of Jesus. This is Walking with Jesus. I'm Teri Angel, and I'm here with my co-host, Lily Ortega. Lily, welcome.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning. Buenos días a todos y bienvenidos al podcast Caminando con Jesús.
All right, so I'm going to take just a minute and share this out. And if you're finding it, help us by sharing it so others can see it. And let's come talk about the life and times and the love of Jesus and the love that he shared with us. So bring your questions, bring your comments. Let us know what you would like to look at as far as Jesus's life.
Ahora, el día de hoy, vamos a estar hablando de la vida de Jesús y vamos a hablar del amor y de cómo lo que sea que nos llegue relacionado con el amor y la esencia del amor de Jesús. En este momento estamos aprovechando el tiempo para compartir el programa. Así que si ustedes están viendo este programa ahorita y si gustan, pueden compartir el programa para que llegue a más gente. Y, ¿qué más iba a decir? Algo que comentó Terry. Bueno, sí, compártanlo con hagan sus preguntas. Cualquier pregunta que tengan, háganla ya sea en vivo o en el programa grabado en el chat. So I'm going to start sharing, Terry.
Thank you. I just put it into some of the groups and shared it on my timeline. So if you're finding us and you're coming in, let us know you're here. Just say hello to us. We'd love to know who's watching. And again, if you have questions, if you have something that you're curious about when Jesus was walking on the earth in a human body, put that in the comments, because Lily and I sit every week and just ask, what do you want us to talk about Jesus? And we have some quiet time with him to just bring forth whatever he wants us to do with this program. And we're going to have some special guests on. So next month we'll have a special guest who talks about Mary Magdalene and that relationship with Jesus. We know some about her life. We know more, I think, about after the crucifixion. There's a lot of information about where she went and where she lived out the rest of her life. And so some of the disciples and some of the ones that were closest to him, we know a lot about what happened to them after that group broke up as the disciples of Jesus. So I'm very excited to have someone on who channels messages from Mary Magdalene, because I think it's a very powerful, strong essence. Even to this day, she helps us from spirit. And she's given us a lot of insight about Jesus and what he was like. And Lily, I know when I sit with Jesus and I ask about the disciples and the ones that followed him and that were close to him, I get that feminine energy that surrounded him at all times. Not only was his mother, divine mother, was there with him, but there were other feminine, very powerful feminine women that followed along. And I can't imagine at that time the ground they covered. It was desert area, so we know that it was hot, it was dry, and there were none of the modern conveniences like we have right now today. Like, we'd probably be having a tent, right, to cover us for shelter and something soft to sleep on. But that wasn't the case in that day and time. And so that journey must have been very difficult for the women of the time who followed him. And I know we know some of the names, and they've been mentioned by Jesus and by the disciples. But just to think about walking beside of him in the heat, in the dirt, and the dust, and being there without any conveniences at all that we can think of, during that time and how they lived. So I'm excited about this person who's going to come in and be a guest, and that's August the 15th, right, Lily?
Yes, that's the day that we got. And she also, Terry, I read that so she has been doing retreats in the last years. I think 2 or 3 years ago she did it in Costa Rica. But this year she went to France, where Mary Magdalene spent, I don't know how long, but it's an important part of her life, France. And this lady that is coming, Elohi Magdalena Rosa, she went to France with a good friend and her that sings beautifully. Pamela is the name of her friend, and her group they did a retreat in France. So I'm sure she's gonna have a lot of insights from her trip. Let me translate um, the highlights of what we said. Nos está diciendo Terry que en agosto, el 15 de agosto, vamos a tener a una persona, a una mujer que ella canaliza a María Magdalena. Se llama Elohi Magdalena Rosa. Ella también habla español e inglés. Y ella canaliza a María Magdalena y canta hermoso. What is it called? It's called a voice alchemist. She's a voice alchemist. Es una persona que tiene una voz hermosa y canta y canaliza y transmite mensajes con su canto y su voz. Y como dijimos, va a estar el 15 de agosto con nosotros. Y Terry nos estaba diciendo que ella ha sentido mucho el poder femenino, tanto de Jesús como de otras mujeres que estuvieron en su tiempo caminando con Jesús, y cómo habrá sido caminar con Jesús y cómo fue toda la vida en ese tiempo después de la resurrección de Jesús con María Magdalena y con los discípulos. And Terry, something that I also want to mention, on Wednesday, when we did our quiet meditation at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, that day was the day that is called the festive day, the feast day of Mary Magdalene. So some people call it a portal. So
Mm-hmm.
that day is a day that is celebrated annually for her. So that's the day that I contacted Elohi, and she and I asked her, so today is an important day for Mary Magdalene, right? And she said yes. And actually, I am doing a session public, in internet for Mary Magdalene today because it's a special day to celebrate her. And as you were saying, Terry, for me, since we started walking with Jesus, I am feeling a lot of feminine energy. And I am feeling very interested in learning about Mary Magdalene. Like Mary, I know about Mary since I was a child, but for me, Mary Magdalene is new. I mean, I heard about her, but
Mm-hmm.
because in the past I was not very conscious, I heard negative things only, and I didn't really pay attention because the only things that I heard about her were negative, and I never really pay attention to really see who she was. And now that I know that is actually the opposite of what I heard, I am like, oh, okay, there is a lot to say about this.
Yeah, there really is. She was such a devotee. She loved Jesus, and she stood up for him, when others would criticize him, she would stand firm and just let them know that he was pure. He was so unconditional in the love that he gave to everyone. And I read, and I'm pretty sure it was from the Bible, the story of her own family, her biological family, thought that she was possessed. They thought she had demons. And so they tried to like do everything they could to get the demons out of her. And she was steadfast. She was like, this was her mission in life, was to be there for Jesus, to support him, to show him love, to um, not that he needed defending, but to stand up and voice from her vision of him what she could see from being there with him every day. She would share, what it was like to be with Jesus, and I I just can't even fathom being there in his presence every day. And, so many people were healed just by being in his presence because he is the master healer. And he wants all of us healed. He wants us all to live the best life we can live. So I'm excited too about delving more into the women that were surrounding him, loving him, um, encouraging and supporting him. And I think a big role that the women had was probably like organizing the meals, helping when it
Mhm.
was time to put meals together, and going to others in the community to get community involvement in feeding this crowd of people. It We know what it's like to feed a family, like a family of 4 or 5, and so to feed all the disciples and the group that was gathering with him, I think the women had an instrumental part in just the everyday life of Jesus and what that looked like as far as taking care of the basic needs. We have to eat. That's, it's like a given. If you're walking on this earth, you're going to eat, right? So
Mhm.
that was what I got when I tuned in to Mary. And yeah, I've been looking at her life for a few years and asking, what was that role that she had with Jesus? So anyone that's listening, and we do have people in the audience, um, what are your thoughts? And do you want to know? Are you curious also, as we are, about the role of the women that were there with him, walking with him? Because there wasn't just one or two, there were many women that followed along with this group that was learning from Jesus as he walked on the earth.
And Terry, I haven't thought about that, what you were thinking about the crucial role of women at the time, cooking meals, because in our culture in Mexico, as you know, I am in Mexico now,
Mhm.
and I see the difference in some way. I mean, I see some differences when I travel, right? When you travel to different places and cultures, you see different habits. Um, and here, for example, for my family, something that is really important and is I see it also.
Uh-oh. We may be frozen for a minute. Let me look online and see.
I think cooking. Can, can you hear me,
I do
Terry?
now. Yeah, it froze. It froze for just a minute, but yeah, I see you and hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, the role of women in the culture of Mexico is that is a very important role, the cooking, and it's like a nurturing. Is the way they show their love is through cooking meals for the family. So like I said, now there are more men helping women, but not that many. We are still in that role of cooking for the family. It's still preserved. It hasn't changed as it has changed in other places where men are stepping more to help in the household. Here is still preserved that women are the nurturers and the ones who take care of the house and who cook the meals for the family. That's that, and we were talking about love, and that's the way they show love and nurture with
Yes.
love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a lot of families, I know I grew up in the South, and so food is like so essential. When somebody comes to visit, it's like you bring out the food, right? It's like, here, eat. And, I was thinking as you were talking, Lily, so Jesus came in incarnated as a Jew, and food and the meals are so important in the Jewish families. And there's all the special days, the high holy days, where they have the meals and the communion together. So I think this is such an interesting look at really how Jesus existed in all of that, and the role that different ones had, and especially the women, to make sure that on those high holy days they had what they were supposed to have. um, and they did the traditional Jewish holidays and Jewish ways of honoring God. So yeah, it's something I hadn't even thought of before until we were
Mm.
holding this conversation just now.
I wonder, Terry, because as you were talking, what came to my mind is maybe women feel feel inclined to feed because they fed their children, they breastfed their children. I say they is we, right? But because I don't have kids, I am talking about they. But we have that natural power and ability, our body, the ability to feed, to feed from our breast. So maybe that's part of the nurturing.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
I think women do feel that. Um, what would you even call it? That natural native instinct to feed and to take care of, to nurture. And we've been focused a lot in our spiritual group about healing our planet. And our planet, we refer to Gaia as feminine, as she, and
Mhm.
our Earth Mother. And even the indigenous people call her our Earth Mother. So the Earth wants to nurture us as well. And I think Jesus honored that. I think he showed us by his life and by how he lived his life that everything is important. Everything that has energy is fed by and nurtured by our Earth planet that we are on. And so he honored all of life. He honored the animals. And I know a lot of people, when we first started this podcast, a lot of people were interested in the way Jesus interacted with animals. Did he honor them? Did he think they were precious, or were they just there? And I see as I tune in that he had a love for the animals and for children, for anyone that was. I was trying to get the word, and there was a word that came to me this morning: the marginalized. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? The marginalized, but they're the ones that maybe don't have the resources that others have. And we see a lot of homeless now in these days and times. And I'm sure there were some that were there in the time of Jesus that didn't have the resources other people had. And I think his heart really went out to them. So yeah, I think it's important to realize that we have to have that balance. There's the masculine and the feminine in each of us. We all carry that. So
Mhm.
even if you're not female or born female, you still have that desire to nurture, that desire to take care of whoever is there um, in your part of the world, your circle in the world. So I don't know, Lily, what do you think about that?
Well, as you were talking and you mentioned Mother Earth, yeah, I started connecting with Mother Earth 8 years ago. And I remember that they also call her Pachamama. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know the meaning of Pachamama, but Mama in Spanish is mother.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's called, anyway, it's called Pachamama. I don't know where the word is coming from. So I just remember that. But also, yeah, you were talking about marginalized people and homeless. And yeah, I mean, we see it everywhere. Like even here in Mexico, where I am, we have we got rid of a couch that
Mm-hmm.
we don't need, and we left it outside in the the so somebody can take it. Nobody has taken the couch, but there is somebody sleeping there every night because when I go out, I see a blanket. And then I think, okay, we are here hosting a person that comes to sleep here. but,
Right.
but anyway, I got very, it is interesting to me, Terry, that when I lived here in Mexico, I there was homeless people, but when I was growing up, I didn't really pay attention to them. Like I didn't, it was something common to see. So it didn't catch my eye as something like different. I thought, okay, this is part of the culture, basically. And it was not until 2013 that when I decided to study social work without really even knowing what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to shift from being a teacher to social work. And once I started, immersing in that, then I learned more. And then I learned about the people who are marginalized in the United States, because that's where I live, and the homeless. And it really opened my perspective of the life, because I thought, I came here, and I have this kind of life that is more easy, let's say, than those people that don't have that we call them also unprivileged, that they don't have
Right.
the privileges. But anyway, it was really a really beautiful experience to really start paying attention to the people in need, to the people who are in need, and start maybe donating things to them, or doing whatever, volunteering, whatever you can do to help those in need, to pay attention to them as Jesus did.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. So, Lily, I'm very familiar with the term Pachamama. Uh, I've done medicine wheels and moon wheels and moon ceremonies, and that word comes out a lot as we honor the Earth Mother. So Pachamama, I put it in comments for everyone. It means literally Mother Earth or Mother Cosmos,
mm,
and it
mm,
combines. Pacha means the world, the universe that we can see, and Mama, of course, like you said, means mother. So our Earth Mother is Pachamama. I love the word. I love the energy of that word. It feels welcoming, doesn't it? And there's
mhm,
songs they sing to Pachamama, and teachings that they give on how to honor the earth. And we can think of so many things that we could do differently to honor our Earth Mother. Just respecting the earth, respecting it to where we don't trash it, we don't throw things down and discard things that may take years to decompose, but we just thoughtless. And I say we, I just included the whole world because this is what has happened, and that's a fact. We've seen it with our own eyes that there's such a disregard for just littering and throwing something away. And I think we've come to be a throwaway society, right? Instead of things
Mm.
that we can reuse and conserve energy in that way. So, yeah, Pachamama, it has a good ring to it, and I want us all to learn that. And so that's why I put it in the comments of what the actual literal meaning of it is. But it's
Mhm.
for the indigenous people, especially, it's more than just the literal meaning. It's an energy that is an entity. And many times we just think of the earth as just rock, right? This is just rock that we're living on, but it's a living, breathing energy. And so the more we can come to respect and honor Pachamama, then the more it's going to come back to balance because there is an imbalance. And I know that this is something that's happened and evolved over time, but we can make a difference and we can bring it back into balance with our intention and with our love that we show to her. And I really think that Jesus showed us how to do that when he was here. He showed us how to honor the earth, how to use the resources that are there instead of taking too much or stripping everything from the land. He helped to show balance and show how important it is to not be greedy, to take what you need to survive. And I think that's why he didn't have like a home. He didn't have one place that it was like, okay, this is the home of Jesus. His home was wherever he went, right? And he went throughout the land and taught and preached and showed by example how to honor the environment and how to honor the place that we are on called Earth. So I think that's a big part of his ministry, and it's something we can definitely take personally into our own lives and walk like Jesus did with honor and dignity, honoring this earth mother that we have.
Mhm. And Terry, when I heard that word Pachamama, which was like I said, let me see. No, that word was maybe 2018. Maybe I heard it before, but I it caught my attention. I remember the year that my mother passed away. I remember being here in the house, and I remember telling her Pachamama, and she already knew this word. And when I heard it for the first time, it's because I joined a women's circle, and we were going to do ancestral healing and all of those things. And everything that they were talking was new to me. This was in 2018, like I said. Um, and we did a retreat. It was supposed to be an in-person retreat in a mountain. They like to do retreats in mountains at the beginning, and so they were gonna get together in the Smoky Mountains, and I couldn't go. And then I told them I'm gonna go to Mount Shasta and I'm gonna do my own ceremony, and you guys do yours in the Smoky Mountains, and let's get together later and see what comes through, what happened. And it is really interesting. It's like I said, I was new to this. So I really didn't know, okay, if they are there and I'm here, how are we supposed to connect? But I did the rituals, I did everything they asked me to do. I shared my experience. It was such a beautiful experience to be my first time doing this. I was like, and it's the first, I would say probably the first time I started connecting more with Mother Earth, because then I started connecting.
Uh-oh, I think we lost Lily a minute. So let's get her back because I want to hear this.
Surround. Oh, I got disconnected.
Yeah, we lost,
Yes.
we lost you for just a minute there. But I
Uh-huh.
was saying, I want you to come back because this is so interesting and important. And it's just shows the power of unity. We think of ourselves as separate. We think that there's a distance between us, there's space and there's time. But when we really sit with the intention of connecting with each other, there is no time or space. We can be right there with each other no matter where we are. And like right now, Lily's in Mexico, I'm here in Colorado, but our energy is together and we're united in bringing this message and these messages forth that Jesus wants us to talk about and discuss. So it's like it doesn't matter what time it is, our linear earth time, we are one and we can connect no matter where we are. And that's the beauty, Lily, of what you did and that experience that you shared with us, where you were in California and they were off in the Smoky Mountains, which is where I grew up in the Appalachia. Um, and that's how it happens because it's our intention, it's our knowingness, our inner awareness that there is no distance. There is nothing that separates us. That is the illusion. And coming here on this earth planet, we're learning about unity. We're learning about how to connect with each other. And I think Jesus showed us that so beautifully with his life, that even though he was right there, and I was thinking about that this morning, he was right there in that part of the world, but look at his ministry. It's worldwide, it's everywhere. So it really doesn't matter where we are located. It's what are we doing with our hearts and with this ministry that we're here to bring forth.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for
And
sharing your experience.
yes, Terry. And what I said also, I don't know if you heard, is that when I started connecting more with Mother Earth as well. So, like you said, I connected with everything, and because I connected to the mountain, and then I started, there were eagles that showed up in our morning sunrise. We were burning. I was doing my ceremony with my husband. He was my helper, and we had birds and eagles, and then they were flying to the sunrise, um, and there were even synchronicities that happened with my mother that at that time already passed away in that same year. And something that happened in a restaurant that my mom showed up, and so many things that happened that, wow, it was really magical. So that was when I started, like you said, connecting with others that were in a different place, connecting with nature. And then I remember in Mount Shasta when you me and other people did the land blessing in Mount Shasta, and it was. I remember, Terry, that, and I don't know if you remember this, but after the blessing, you told us, I am feeling that I need to ground. I need to sit down and ground, and then we burned Palo Santo and other smudge, and then we just help you to kind of come back to yourself. It
Yes,
was a very powerful energy.
it was one of the most powerful land blessings that I have done over the last 6 years. And I do remember standing there and calling in the angels and calling in the power to spread peace down into the earth. And it felt like the earth just opened up and swallowed me. That's what it felt like. And after that blessing ended, like you said, I said, I have to sit down, you guys, because this just took everything from me. And and that's what we can do, what we can offer is whatever our Earth Mother needs from us, we can offer that from our heart. It doesn't have to deplete us. I mean, I was in such a space that I was giving everything. I gave full out, no boundaries, no saying enough is enough. But we can give that kind of love into our Earth Mother. And I'm so glad that you were there for that experience. And then we did a water and land blessing where you live in
Mhm.
California, and that one was as powerful. I mean, it wasn't where, I had the same experience of being depleted. I was more lifted up and energized, but they're so powerful when we
Mhm.
send messages down into the earth and send our love down in and
Mhm.
connect in that way. And it's just beautiful to be able to do that kind of ministry. And I
Mhm.
just would like everyone that's walking on Pachamama to honor her and respect her in that way.
And the one that we did where I live in Folsom, well, I live in Sacramento, but it was in Folsom, close to where I live. We did the song "The Earth is Our Mother." We must
Yes.
take care of her. We did that, and it was really good to have it at the very beginning after you call the angels and all your team, and then having that music with the drums. It
Yes.
was a really good start for that land blessing in Folsom. Um, and and like I said, Terry, I think, and it's for all of us. The more we connect with nature, for example, with Mother Earth, with Pachamama, the more we will start connecting with the animals, with
Hmm.
the elements, and all of that. Because I feel like even I share with you my last trip in California. I was not expecting to have any kind of experience, but I went for walks in nature and I felt my connection with even with insects that you
Hmm.
wouldn't think because I could not even see them very well. But taking videos and pictures and later seeing what happened, I was like, wow. So they were this happened, but I couldn't really see it with my eyes, but they were there and the camera showed me they were there. So,
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
happens.
it does. It happens. And I connect in with I call them the elementals. So the insects are part of that. We do have a protection of our Earth Mother by those who are closer to the ground, and that includes animals. When we think about the animals that are outside, the wolves, the little rabbits, things that are walking very close to the ground, they are protecting our Earth Mother. And so honoring them, I think, is honoring her. And there's a lot of disrespect even of the animals who are outside, and we look at them as intruders, right? They're intruding on our space. We actually are intruding on their space because they're there doing their job. They are where they're supposed to be in nature. And so, Lily, I'm so glad you had that kind of experience. I connect in with some insects, not with all of them. I connect in more with like the caterpillars and the butterflies and the bees. We really need to pay more attention to the bees in the world because they do help our ecosystem. And everything that's here has a purpose. And I know, and I'm guilty many, many times of saying, why do we have to have mosquitoes? Why do we have to have this? Why do we have to have the ones that annoy us or, might hurt if they bite or sting us? But everything has a purpose, and that comes straight from the scriptures. There is a purpose to everything under heaven. There's no exclusion. So if they're here, they're supposed to be here. And so we need to honor that instead of, oh, they need to honor us as humans, right? We think we're so superior. But when we really feel into their energy, I think they are the superior ones. They are the ones that have the innate knowing of respecting the earth and living on her in a way that they're not destructive, that sometimes we as humans can be destructive to our planet.
Mhm. Because they are very connected to all the whatever is they have around, and then they respect it because they are part of it. And
Yeah.
I was thinking of this week when the room where our dogs sleep. My dad, who lives here, his dogs they sleep in a room, and that they have access to go in and out. And we have to fix that room, so they were sleeping outside, and they were spending their days outside, fully outside. And I was thinking, suddenly I started thinking, I know this, but suddenly I started thinking, I was at night and I was looking at the sky and the stars, and I was thinking how nice it is that they are here outdoors all day or most of the day, and they sleep here, and their connection, the connection that they have, that we just get sometimes when we go outdoors, they experience it. If they are outdoors all day, they have it all day. Now it's a very different experience
Yeah.
that we have, and maybe that Jesus had, the people that live in the different ways that we live now, that our shelter is different than
Mhm.
before.
Right.
With,
Yeah.
yeah, with the caveman and all of those, you know.
Yeah. I so agree with you, Lily. And as you were talking, I was thinking the animals take what they need. They don't, they're not greedy. They don't hoard, right? They, they're eating to survive, and they're finding what they need. And I think it's a matter of trust that we're shown with the animals. And even I think it was Jesus that talked about the sparrows and the birds, and how they don't fret over where their meal is going to come from or if there's going to be enough. They just know, they have the trust. So they take what they need to survive, and they're happy with that. So I think we as humans could learn a big lesson in that, of whatever we need to fulfill us, to keep us going in these human bodies. That's the focus. Focus on that instead of trying to accumulate all of the material things that in the end doesn't really mean anything. I mean, we can't take it with us, right?
Right.
So focus on what's important. Focus on loving this Earth Mother and making sure that she's going to be there for future generations. And you mentioned the ancestral healing. It's so important to look back and see, how did our ancestors treat the earth? How did they survive and thrive? And our planet still is here for us to enjoy. And we can do that same with our perspective and our mentality of taking what we need, and then there's going to be plenty for the future generations, for our children and their children, and on and on. So such a big lesson, and I have really enjoyed the direction that this particular show has taken today to honor the earth. I think that was such a huge message from Jesus. I think that's why he, like I said earlier, why he was wandering, right? Why he was moving place to place on foot out in the world instead of in a home, in comfort, in shelter from the weather. I think it was to show us that the Earth Mother gives us everything that we need to survive in this human body.
Mhm. Yes, Terry. Um, I would like to just acknowledge the audience
Yeah.
because I don't see the messages, for example. Well, I don't see the messages here. I have to go to the chat. But also I noticed that if there are messages going to other platforms that are is not angels or speakers, sometimes we don't see the messages. So just whoever, is here, and if you are typing something and we don't see it, sometimes it's because we just don't see it in the chat. But thank you for your messages, because I do notice afterwards that there are people saying that they watch the replay or they say hello.
Mhm. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I go back and look and see what people say because one of the things that we said from the very beginning of doing this broadcast, this is for all of us. This isn't just for me and Lily or whoever comes in with us. It's for all of us. So if you have a question, if there's something you would like to ponder and wonder about the life of Jesus when he was in his physical body, then put that in the comments and we will see it. We will acknowledge it. It may be after we've already ended the show, but I do go back through, and I know Lily goes back through and reads the comments. And I know that we've got some of our spiritual family here. I can see you and thank you for showing up today and for being here with us. And we're here every week. So if we're not going to do it one week, we put that message out so you know not to expect us. But this is something that we were given as a message to bring forth these conversations. And I think they're really important conversations to have, especially this one today. This this is something so dear to my heart, is helping our earth to thrive. And I won't say survive because it's more than that. It's helping her to flourish. And I just keep getting the message that through what we are doing in sending intentions and love into our planet, we're helping to bring it back into a balance because it's been a little off balance for a while now. And we can see that in the climate change. We can see that in what's happening with the chaos and wars and conflicts and things happening in the world. So our goal is not just to have a discussion, but to actually encourage everyone to be more aware of what you can do, how you can honor our Earth Mother, how you can honor Jesus by honoring our Earth Mother and live like he showed us to live, with respect, with honor, with dignity, as we have shown up here on this place called Earth.
Yes, it's a connection, as you said, talking about Jesus and talking about Mother Earth is talking about the same thing. But sometimes we need to have those things into our awareness to really say, okay, all these things are part of the same. And
Mhm.
this is a message from Jesus as well.
Yes. Yeah. When I sat and asked Jesus, what do you want us to talk about? What part of your life do you want us to bring out, to look at, and to learn from? Um, and from the example that you showed us while you were here on Earth, and that was the main thing that came out was love, honor, respect each other. Respect your fellow humans that you're walking on Gaia's back with. We're all here. We're all in this together. And to honor our earth, honor the animals, honor the children, honor everything that has breath. And everything that's here does have an energy. And we can see that energy. We can feel it. So feel into it. That's our ask of our audience, is take some time this week to really connect in with nature, whether that's sitting with a tree, maybe just listening to the tree and feeling its energy, seeing the beautiful flowers of the world, the plants and the flowers and the waterways. You know, there's a lake nearby, and when I was staying with a friend, I would walk around the lake every day. And I drove by it yesterday, and I looked over at it, and it was this most beautiful blue color. And I know it was reflecting the sky energy into it, but it was so beautiful just to see that body of water looking so pristine and sparkling and that wonderful blue color. Just open your eyes and see what's out there, because the earth shows us a lot of beauty wherever you are, whatever environment. You may be in the mountains, you might be at the sea, where there's the ocean you can go look at, but get out there and look at what this earth contains. It contains a lot of beauty to feed our soul. So I'm going to put that forth as our mission from when we are ending this program here in just a few minutes to when we meet again, is to honor the earth with your presence by acknowledging the beauty and everything that the earth offers to us, all the nurturing. You know, there's farmlands that feed us. We receive the nurturing from the farmers that put in the work to to grow the food that we can have in our bodies. So that's my ask of our audience, and I think each week we're going to have something that we can ask you to just pay attention to. So that's the one for this week from me. And Lily, I'll just ask if you get any insight or anything that you would like to put forth as a mission for this week.
Well, I encourage our audience, as you said, to maybe, yes, take a walk or more than one walk, or look at the sky, just connect with nature this week, in the following days. And you will realize that the more you do it, either is that you are paying more attention to those animals or whatever is around you, but also they start connecting with you. So it's like reciprocal relationship. Like usually when you go, you think, okay, I am the one observing this and that. But the more you do it, it gets deeper in a way that it feels that the animals are trying to connect with you and are wanting your attention as well. So this happens, I mean, it happened to me not at the very beginning. It happened, I guess the more I did it, I got to feel that. So it's just beautiful, Terry, because like I experienced what I visualized one time, and we can all do it. I visualize in one of my meditations, for example, being in a, what is it called, a house, tree house. And
Mhm.
I visualize myself, surrounded by trees, and then the birds coming and standing in my shoulder or my arm, and just deeply connected with nature. Or I visualize myself being in water, in the ocean, and connecting with the turtles, maybe a dolphin, maybe a whale.
Mhm.
Anyway, my visualization, my meditations, I visualize this in the past. And then it happened not in the ocean, not in a tree, but it just happened walking in a path that I was totally isolated, surrounded by nature, nobody else. And then it showed up. These things showed up in a different way that I visualized them, but they showed up. And the animals started kind of talking to me, kind of. So it happens, you guys. It happens.
It really does. And I remember years ago, and I think it was when Eckhart Tolle first came out with is it the Power of Stillness, or Stillness Speaks? That was the book. Stillness Speaks. And he encouraged everyone to sit with a tree and just sit there, not forcing anything, not really even expecting anything, but just to sit and honor the essence of that tree and sit in stillness and see what happens. And I remember doing that for the very first time. I mean, I was a tree hugger. I love trees. I love all of nature. So I was familiar with, you know, giving them hugs and feeling their energy. But to just sit in stillness and listen, fully listen to what that tree, that beautiful energy is trying to say to us. And I just heard so much in that few moments that I sat there connected in with the tree. They do speak. The animals do speak. They let us know um, that everything is just about love. You know, when I connect in with an animal, whether it's scared or um, friendly or whatever's going on with it, they're just trying to bring more balance into their life with love and into our lives with love. So I love this. I love that now we have a mission going forward this week to really honor our Earth Mother, our Pachamama, and to just see how it feels to do that. Walk on her. A lot of times I'll say, just when you put one foot down, say thank, and the other foot say you. And thanking our Earth Mother, thanking God for this breath and this time. And the dog has had enough now. And she's ready for us to be done with this show. All right. All right, Charlie.
Charlie is there. And yes, Terry, just saying that even when you look at the sky, one day I look at the sky and there was I saw some very bright lights, and I was wondering what is that. And so I took a picture, and then I went in my house, and it happened to be Orion, and I don't remember something else. So even with your eyes, not even with binoculars, you can actually see certain things, and then you can go to your house and then search in internet what is that, and then you will be surprised of what you can find in the sky. So that was my experience with the sky and the stars.
So beautiful. Lily, thank you for being with me today. And so much love to you and to everyone that joined us today. And if you enjoyed this program, let us know. Put a message in the comments of what it means to you to be able to just sit and have this discussion about the life and times of Jesus and what we learned from him, not just in 3 years that it's written about that he taught and shared with us, but his entire essence of being here in a human body and living a fully human life. And we can take so much from what he showed us by example. So thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful day and go out and hug a tree. And we will see you next week. Thank you so much for being here. And oh, one last thing. Happy birthday to Lily's father. She is with
Oh,
him right there in his home in Mexico. And today is his birthday. So
yeah.
happy birthday
Thank you.
to your father, Lily.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.